Getting all set up here, folks. Hang on. Stand by. Live. That's what happens when we go live. Got to get all our cameras working. All right. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Yes, we're ready to go. Okay. Hey, folks. I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. Glad you be with us today. Important topic today. We're going to talk about the anxiety diet. What's good about it? What is an anxiety diet? What you're doing to cause anxiety, and on the flip side, what you can do to help deal with anxiety. If you're new to the show, I am Dr. Joe Esposito. I talk for 24 minutes. You, whatever platform you're on, can ask any questions you might have. Type in your question. We're on multiple platforms right now. At the break, I will then answer the questions. Then we'll do another 24-minute segment, and then I answer some more questions. So it's really a great opportunity for you to have any health questions you might have answered. If I have the answer, I usually do. Do me a favor, share this with everyone you know. If you're listening live right now, please put in hashtag live. It's 101 on April 29th, 2024. If you're listening on a replay, put in hashtag replay, and also put in where you're from. I always like to see where folks are from. It's kind of cool. And that's it. This is how it's done. So if you're new to the show, great. If you've done this before, you know what to expect. So we're ready to go whenever you guys are. So just say when. I got a clock behind me, behind the camera, so I got to get that all set up. Ready to go? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. Glad you're with me today. We're going to talk today about the anxiety diet. Now, there's two sides to that statement. Number one is, what are you doing in your life, not just diet, but lifestyle, that's increasing your anxiety? And then number two, what diet and lifestyle changes can you make to help reduce your anxiety? So if you ever felt anxious, jittery, wired, jumpy after eating or drinking certain foods, you're certainly not alone. So diet has a big component when it comes to anxiety. Many people feel that way without even realize the connection to the anxiety in their diet. Now, here's why. So many people have such a bad diet that they feel this way all the time. I had a secretary one time, her name was Nisla, and she had horrible digestive issues. Whenever she ate anything, she had to run to the bathroom. And she was like this for years. And she would pull up to the fast food restaurant that she'd go to. They'd recognize her car and the camera and have her order ready for her. And she was sick all the time. So anyway, she came as a patient to me and then eventually as an employee. And she said, I didn't realize that other people didn't get explosive diarrhea every time they ate. She goes, I thought everybody had this. I thought it was normal. And when she realized she's celiac, which is a really severe reaction to gluten, she cut out the gluten and she became, somewhat semi-normal again. But a lot of people don't realize how bad they are because they've never felt good. They have nothing to compare it to. I guess everyone only sleeps 2 hours at a time. I guess everybody is jittery. I guess everybody has severe anxiety because that's all I know. If a child is raised in an unhealthy environment, they think that that's the only way to be. I grew up poor. Extremely poor. My father was disabled. When I started going to school and meeting people that were successful financially, I didn't realize that even existed because we grew up in a poor family, big Italian family, and everybody was the same socioeconomic class. So until you know what good is, you don't know how bad you have it. And that's one of the things with anxiety. So it's a feeling of like internal panic, and it happens many times when you eat certain foods. But if you drink coffee every morning, you have panic attacks every day, you don't realize it might be the coffee. If you have biscuits every morning or wheat's one of the triggers, you don't realize that that's a trigger because it's happening all the time. So I want to give you some things right to start. 32% of Americans have anxiety. That's a lot, 1 in 3. So if there's 3 people in a room, one of you have it. So there's a couple of exercises I want to teach you first and then get into more about the diet. But one is called the 3-3-3 rule. Now, what the 3-3-3 rule is when you start having anxiety. Now, I just had an MRI done, and if you've ever been to an MRI machine, it's like a coffin. It's literally, the MRI is 3 inches from your nose, 5 inches from your nose, and they slide you in. And you have to stay still for about 45 minutes. Not fun. And so I followed the 3-3-3 rule. Name 3 things that you see. Now, I had my eyes closed. But if you have anxiety, first thing, name 3 things that you see. You can say to yourself, name 3 things. Well, right now I see a microphone, I see a camera, I see a speaker. Then I want you to mention 3 things that you hear. You can say it out loud if you want to. I hear my voice, I hear an air conditioner running, I hear a car off in the distance. And then I want you to move 3 parts of your body. Move my finger, move my toe, move my leg. And go through that cycle over and over again. See 3 things, hear 3 things, move 3 things. And what that does, it diverts your attention, and it works really well. Another rule is the 5-5-5 rule. Inhale for 5 seconds, hold it for 5 seconds, exhale for 5 seconds. So the 3-3-3 rule and the 5-5-5 rule when you're having an anxiety attack or a panic attack. And it helps reset the brain. Because in most cases, the anxiety attack isn't real. I'm not saying it's not real to you, but it's not a real threat. I'm having anxiety because I'm stuck in traffic. Well, a lot of people are stuck in traffic. So 3-3-3, 5-5-5 rule. Now, that's an active step that you can do. Because when I teach patients how to get well, I have to get them involved. If they want me to do all the work, they're not going to get involved. They're not going to get the results that they want. But you can control the foods that you eat. Certain foods can contribute to anxiety and depression because one of the things they do is they can spike your blood sugar. You eat something that's high in sugar, it causes your blood sugar to spike and then drop really fast. You'd have something, you need something to balance that out. Because if you rise real fast and crash real fast, that can create anxiety. So if you're going to eat something sugary, even, for example, a smoothie with a lot of fruit in it, I'm going to get to that a little later, you want to add something that's slower to digest, like a protein or a fat. So you can add an avocado to it. You can add a couple of handfuls of nuts to it, and then stabilize that blood sugar. And that's going to prevent that blood sugar going crazy, leading to the anxiety. So just think about that. If you start having an anxiety attack, what did I just eat? Oh my gosh, I just had donuts. I had an anxiety attack. I had bread. I had coffee. I had cake. I had candy. Oh my gosh, what can I do? Eat something that's going to slow down that process. And that could be nuts or fats. Avocados are real good. Nuts are really good because they have fat and protein in them. They digest very slowly. It's one of the reasons I tell people when you're hungry all the time, have a handful of nuts because they digest very slowly and it kind of curbs that appetite. So anxiety has a lot to do, of course, with brain function. We're going to talk about brain function in a little bit and what you can do to get the brain working better. Now, if you've listened to my shows in the past, you attended my live lectures, read my books, you know that I focus on getting to the cause of the problem. And a lot of it has to do with tips that you can do. So if comfort foods, this is kind of an ironic twist. A lot of the comfort foods that people consume during stressful times can lead to anxiety. I mean, think about a comfort food right now. What might it be? Mac and cheese, cookies, cakes, donuts, bread. These can spike the blood sugar and then cause you to crash. Even comfort foods that are greasy, potato chips. The fat, especially if it's bad fat, called linoleic acid, that can cause inflammation. And inflammation can lead to anxiety. Salt lead to anxiety. So we have to start thinking, when you have anxiety issues, what did I just do? I just saw my ex. I have anxiety. I just ate a bad food. I have anxiety. I thought about my upbringing with my family. I have anxiety. So you have to start trying to find a cause of the problem. But processed foods, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, processed meats, cheeses, they can trigger the inflammation in the body. One of the reasons is they're low in fiber and they're high in sugar. Now, with fiber pushes the food through your colon and you get a slow release of sugar. This is why it's so important for people that do get these crashes, the spikes and the crashes, people that are diabetic, pre-diabetic, or any of us, to eat fiber. Because fiber slows down the absorption of the sugar, and fiber does this too. Fiber blocks up the receptor sites where sugar gets absorbed. So you're absorbing it slower, and you're absorbing less. The other thing is that fiber foods are usually high in nutrients, because you get fiber from plants. You don't get fiber from animals. You don't get fiber from juices. You get fiber from plants. And so you're going to get more nutrients to stabilize the blood sugar and the brain function, lower absorption, and it's going to help tremendously with pushing it through the colon and blocking up the receptor sites. So fiber all the way across the board is going to be something that you want to include in your diet every day. Let me take that back. You want to include fiber in your diet every meal. Because if you eat something that's low fiber, let's assume you just have a big pasta dish. Not a lot of fiber. You have steak, not a lot of fiber. The fiber is so vital for so many different aspects of the body. Also, what fiber does is it feeds the bacteria in your colon. Fiber is something called a prebiotic. Prebiotics feed the bacteria in your colon. Probiotics are the good bacteria in your colon. So when you're eating fiber, you're feeding the bacteria. You have between 300 and 500 different strains of bacteria in your colon. And 80% of your immune system is in your colon. So what's happening? You're killing off the good bacteria if you don't feed them. You're flushing out the bad stuff. Many times if you eat food that gives you diarrhea, just flushing out the good bacteria. And you need the fiber to slow down the process. It makes you feel full. If you eat low-fiber foods like candy or cakes, you want to eat more. So this is something I've learned. If I eat something sweet, right after that sweet, I want more. Breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas. I used to joke, I can't eat a cookie. I can eat a box of cookies, but I can't eat a cookie. Now, if you took that cookie and you mixed it in with fiber, let's assume you had a salad. Let's assume you had a sweet potato, higher in fiber. You have Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source loaded with nutrients. You can eat one cookie. But once you start, unless you do something, it's hard to stop. I'm going to give you a little trick when you get sugar cravings in just a second. It's going to blow your mind. It's the easiest, quickest, cheapest thing you can do to deal with sugar cravings, and it gets rid of them instantly. I'm going to teach you that in a second. That's called a tease. I'm teasing you to make you stay on. So a diet high in refined carbohydrates and fats leads to overall levels of inflammation in the body. And inflammation can cause problems. It can cause anxiety because the brain becomes inflamed. So the foods to avoid, the anxiety diet, the foods to avoid to help reduce anxiety. The big ones are the 7 deadly sins: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener. Now, I came up with that list of 7 foods years ago, and it's stayed true for probably about 35 years now. Now, there's other things that you can add to it, but generally speaking, I try to make it simple for you: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. So I did some research, and I wanted to see what psychologists were recommending, what the neurologists were recommending. And it's funny because they came up with 9. But it's essentially the same 7 I gave you, just added on: alcohol, artificial sweeteners, cookies, cakes, and pies, coffee, fruit and vegetable smoothies. I didn't add that one. I'm going to explain why they added it. Fried foods, gluten, processed meats, and sugars. So essentially the 7 deadly sins all over again. So once again, the thing I came up with, I remember the day I came up with it. That holds true now, 35 years later. All the research is finally catching up to what Dr. Joe was teaching you 35, 40 years ago. And that's kind of cool. Most of the things I teach you stay forever. Very rarely is something that I taught you I need to change. Now, it may change, become worse, but very seldom will I say, I said do this, and I'm telling you don't do it, or vice versa. So alcohol, people think it has a calming effect on them. People say, I'm very anxious, I'm going to have a glass of wine at the end of the day. I knew a gal once, and great gal, and she had to have her wine at the end of the day, and it went from 1 glass to 2 glasses to 3 glasses. And I said, I think there's a problem. She said, no, I just like to have it to unwind. So she said, I'm going to stop drinking altogether. And she switched to kombucha. Now, kombucha is fermented. It's fermented tea, basically. And she was getting alcohol in her kombucha. She couldn't stop. And we had a conversation, and I said, I really think you should consider seeking help. I understand the addiction. And she, as many addicts do, insisted there wasn't a problem. And so, unfortunately, I had to end my relationship with her because the alcohol was becoming a big issue. And many people fall back on that alcohol to say, I'm just going to have this alcohol to help me unwind, to relieve my anxiety. Well, that's not good. There are guidelines to drinking, and I strongly disagree with these government guidelines. The guideline says men shouldn't have more than 2 drinks a day, women shouldn't have more than 1 drink a day. I strongly disagree with that because people use that as a crutch. I just have 1 drink a day. I just have 2 drinks a day. You shouldn't have any drinks a day. Now, if you're going to drink, I understand you might go to a party or something like that. Very rarely you're going to have some alcohol. All right, that's fine. But my rule is this when it comes to alcohol to prevent it from becoming an issue. For every drink you have, 2 or 3 glasses of water to rehydrate your body. And before you have your drink, I want you to have a serving of Dr. Joe's Essential Source and a serving of Dr. Joe's Super Greens, loaded with prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, complete multivitamin, chlorella and spirulina. Chlorella is great to detoxify the liver. And a Dr. Joe's B complex, vitamin B complex. It's in a methylated form. For those of you who know, that's the best form. And I tell people Super Greens an essential source and a B complex before you go out. And Super Greens an essential source if you're going to drink more than 1 or 2 drinks when you come home. I'm replacing the nutrients that your body will lose from drinking the alcohol because it uses up a lot of nutrients and it's a diuretic, so it flushes it out of the body as well. I've had many people that have had anxiety issues, and I get them on that rule, and it helps the anxiety. Now, if you don't drink at all, even better still, I take Super Greens, an essential source, and B complex every day. I think you should too. There's no reason not to. It's very inexpensive. It tastes great. I take a scoop of essential source, a scoop of Super Greens, mix it together, shake it up, and drink it. I take a variety of different supplements because I did an analysis on myself, like I do for my patients. And I said, okay, at my age, B vitamins, absolutely. Adrenal support, absolutely. Digestive enzymes if I'm eating a cooked meal, absolutely. Nitric oxide opens up the blood vessels, can help lower blood pressure, increase circulation to the brain, the sex organs, the heart, the lungs. And amazing. I feel great when I take nitric oxide. So I put together a protocol for myself. I'm happy to put together a protocol for you. I do it for my patients. But if you're going to drink, I want to make sure that you're combating the negative side effects. And that also can help reduce anxiety. So alcohol disorder and depressive disorders are a pretty serious issue. There's about 15 million people ages 12 and above with an alcohol disorder. That's according to the Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism. 15 million people, and I was shocked when I saw the number, above the age of 12. That's scary stuff. I was a young thug. I wasn't drinking at 12. So there are kids now getting drunk. So parents, little public service warning. If you have kids, lock up the liquor cabinet. Because if they take it and they enjoy it, they're going to sneak more and more and more. And they'll replace the vodka with the water. They know the same stupid tricks that you did with your parents. So don't think they're going to outsmart you. But please don't let them get it started. Once they're 18 or 21, they can make their own decisions. But at this point, please protect your children. Because I see this in my office. And if people start drinking, many times they don't eat. And they don't eat, they go into malnutrition. Or if they do eat, they make bad choices and they go into malnutrition, which exacerbates the addiction even further. On my website, drjoe.com, if you just type addiction in the search bar, I did a real good show on addiction. And I talked about the neurophysiology of addiction. What is it? What does it do to the brain? And what do we need to do to deal with it? So I cover all that on the website, drjoe.com. And by the way, on the website, we have over 4,000 hours of content. Blogs, posts, radio shows, podcasts. So just go to the website, type in the search bar what you're looking for, and chances are we've done something that's going to answer your question for you. If you still can't find the answer, send me a question through the website, drjoe.com. Actually, any question you have, send it through the website. I'm happy to answer your questions for you. Just go to drjoe.com, send me a question. I'll get back to you. It's usually me who responds, too. So that is real. It really is me. So if you're just tuning in, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, and we're talking today about the anxiety diet, the things that you're doing that can make the anxiety worse, and then we're going to talk a little later what you can do to fix it. I'm kind of weaving that all together anyway. Artificial sweeteners. I talked about these when they first came out, and some people said, well, you're crazy, you're reactionary, you don't know what you're talking about, and now it turns out that Dr. Joe was right. I was right all along. Artificial sweeteners are so bad for you. If you're trying to lose weight, they don't work in most people. The studies have shown that it's an issue because the brain thinks it's something sweet, so the brain releases insulin. It says, ooh, there's no sugar for this insulin to react on. You start craving carbohydrates. Most people, many people, I should say, they eat more carbohydrates and higher calories when they use diet soda. And also in their mind, they're saying, hey, I just had diet soda. I'm okay. I can have that piece of chocolate cake. Not how it works. Not how you should be working. Study published in 2018 in the journal Neuroscience, researchers found that artificial sweetener, aspartame specifically, has been linked to behavioral and cognitive issues with possible neuropsychological symptoms that include anxiety, depression, insomnia, irritable moods, headaches, and learning disabilities. It affects the brain because it's made up of aspartic acid, phenylalanine, and methyl ester. Aspartic acid is an excitotoxin. It causes the brain to essentially fire faster than it's supposed to and can literally burn out your brain cells. And so it can create cravings. It can affect different parts of the brain. It lowers your body's ability to produce dopamine. Dopamine is the pleasure neurotransmitter. It affects mood and motivation. It lowers serotonin, which can help stabilize your mood. Serotonin makes you happy. And the artificial sweetener acts as a chemical stressor by increasing levels of plasma cortisol. Cortisol is your stress hormone, and that produces excessive free radicals, and free radicals are like Pac-Man. They're attacking your body, and that can cause damage to healthy cells, and that's linked to chronic diseases like cancer. How about that? Researchers warn that people should consume aspartame with caution because of its possible negative effects on brain health. I've been preaching this ever since it came out. If you have to use a sweetener, stevia, Lohan, xylitol, erythritol, way better choices. Now, here's the thing. There is no ideal choice. People say, well, I heard that erythritol in large quantities can cause diarrhea. Yes, it can. However, it's a gazillion times better than artificial sweetener. I made that number up, gazillion, by the way. So it's all about better choices. When it comes to healthcare, you have back pain. You have a lot of choices. You have chiropractic care. You have pain management. You have massage therapy. You have physical therapy. Chiropractic care, most effective, least expensive treatment for back pain. Why wouldn't you go with the most effective and the least expensive? Even if it was the most effective and most expensive, I'd say, okay, it's the most effective. Most effective, least expensive. So if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, headache, sciatica, folks, come see us. Stop suffering needlessly. Go to my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. You can book an appointment right now. In the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. We check your nervous system, your digestive system, and your diet. I don't know anybody who's doing that anywhere. And we do it. Normally, the first visit is $940. For you, my listeners, I've reduced that to $299. Exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays on your follow-up visit, and a complete nutrition evaluation. I don't know anybody who's doing it at any price. We want to get to the cause of your problem. Been doing this for 40 years. Love what I do. My doctors love what they do. Let's get to the cause of your problem. Stop suffering needlessly. If you're ever in a car accident, if the car is damaged, you're damaged. I've never seen it any other way. So if you're in an accident, come see us right away. You're going to get phone calls from scammers. They're called ambulance chasers, runners. Those are scams. It's the hospital calling. It's your insurance company calling. It's your lawyer calling. Don't believe it. Verify it. Chances are 99% of the time it's going to be a scam. Come see us. If we can't help you, we're going to refer you to a list of doctors that we work with, that we trust, lawyers that we trust. Don't be scammed. So many people have lost the ability to get well and lost their settlement, so a lot of their settlement because they went to the scammers. Don't do it. drjoe.com. I want to be your doctor. And we can do remote consultations as well if we need to. If you're a podcast junkie, go to your podcast service, type in Dr. Joe for the health of it. Dr. Joe for the health of it. We do podcasts at least twice a week, sometimes more. So if you're serious about wanting to get well, you have my website. Follow me on social media, at Dr. Joe Esposito, at Dr. Joe Esposito. Facebook page is down right now. Hopefully it's back up by the time you hear this. Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, we post every single day. Why wouldn't you want to get a health tip every single day absolutely free? If you don't like it, unsubscribe. We have a newsletter that goes out. Subscribe to our newsletter. It's on the website, drjoe.com. You don't like it, unsubscribe. But very few people ever unsubscribe because it's good information and it's free. I don't bother you with that information. I just give it to you. What you do with it is up to you. drjoe.com is the website, folks. Send me questions through the website. Happy to answer your questions for you. So many people have suffered for so many years, and every day in our practices, patients come in and they say, why didn't I do this sooner? Why did I suffer for so long? And my answer is always, I don't know. So if you're just tuning in, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We're talking today about the anxiety diet, things you're doing to make it worse, and things you can do to make it better. Sugary foods, cakes, cookies, pastas, a number of foods, and condiments even, like ketchup is 42% sugar. And in America, it's high fructose corn syrup. You can't get high fructose corn syrup in Europe. It's illegal. They're onto something, folks. Stay away from that high fructose corn syrup. Large amounts of hidden sugar in a lot of foods. Neuroscience and behavioral reviews published research reviewing over 300 studies scrutinizing the interaction between sugar, and they found that it's linked to anxiety and depression, cognitive impairment. Cognitive impairment is how you think. I'm thinking that I'm going to button my shirt. I'm thinking I'm going to brush my teeth. That's cognitive. Some things happen with my brain I'm not aware of. My heart beats, my lungs breathe, my kidneys make urine. That's not cognition. Cognition is me thinking and acting out in an appropriate manner. And so we know that too much sugar can affect that. Researchers wrote that there's overwhelming evidence that sugar consumption is associated with altered emotional processing in humans. You give kids sugar, they run around and get crazy. Oh, it's not the sugar. Yes, it is. If you've ever been around a kid, you give them sugar, they get crazy. It's affecting their brain. Folks, got to go to break. My website again, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. Tell your friends about this. We'll be right back. Bam. All right. Didn't take my nitric oxide before the show started. Questions?
What are the best anti-anxiety foods?
We're getting to that. Yeah, that's going to be part 2. Can't give you it all at once. Come on.
Is 8 hours of sleep a night really the ideal amount of sleep?
Everybody's different. It depends on the person. Anywhere between 6 and 8 or 9 depends on the person. 8 is great if you can get it. There are some nights I sleep 8, some nights I sleep 6. But I understand that as long as it's a quality sleep, that's the key. Quality over quantity is really more important. So, what else, Garrett? What do you got?
No questions, but I did get caught freezing a bottle of vodka that was in the freezer.
Freezing a bottle of vodka?
Well, yeah, you put water in it, and then it'll actually start to freeze.
Oh, you got caught as a kid. Ah, okay, got it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So kids out there, if you're listening, don't add water because Garrett will vouch for the fact.
And also, make sure you get a good lock, because these liquor cabinets were locked as well.
Oh, so you got into it, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Bobby pins.
Yeah, so please, folks, because it could be deadly to a child, too. Of course, they can't handle the amount of alcohol that we can handle either. And if they have a genetic predisposition to issues, it could be a serious issue. They can fall, hurt themselves, yeah. So it's not a game. Yeah.
And if they leave your house, you're responsible for them.
That's right. They're your kids. You're responsible for what they do. They leave the house, get in a car accident or something. Guess what, Mom and Dad? Your problem. All right, any other questions?
Just a comment from one of our listeners. They recently took a trip to Scotland, and they said that most of the foods there are very clean and natural.
Yeah, in Europe, a lot of the foods, you can't buy a lot of the foods. What was it, 80% of the foods in the United States you can't get in Europe? Now, you can get ketchup, but it doesn't have high fructose corn syrup. A lot of the artificial sweeteners, the chemicals, the additives, the dyes, they're not allowed in other countries. They're allowed here.
There's actually a really big push right now to start banning a lot of those ingredients here in the U.S.
Yeah, and I get it. It's a business, and these people that make it, sell it and make money off it, and there's going to be a push saying no, but the studies are there. But here's the thing. You don't have to fall victim to it. You don't have to buy anything with red dye number 40 in it. You don't have to buy anything with aspartame in it. You don't have to buy anything with vegetable oils, omega-6 fatty acids, hydrogenated oils. You don't have to buy it. And here's how economy works. The almighty dollar wins. My friend Clark Howard always says, vote with your wallet. And I love that advice. You don't have to make a big stink. You don't have to cause trouble. I'm not going to buy that product because it's junk. And if enough people follow that advice, the company's going to change the formula. We all listen to our peers. We listen to our constituents. We listen to our customers, in my case, my patients, and we find out what they want. It's a 10,000 Maniacs song, and the song goes, give them what they want. Exactly right. So you can vote with your wallet and for your health as well, but you don't have to buy it. There are options out there. That's why you listen to the show, because you can be educated. Otherwise, you don't get this education pretty much anywhere. All right, ready for part 2? Got to get my drink there. All right, ready? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito. If you're just joining us, welcome. If you stayed with us, thank you. I appreciate that. What we're talking about today is the anxiety diet. The foods that make anxiety worse, and we're going to talk about now some of the foods that make it better. A few more things I got to talk about making it worse, though. Coffee, caffeinated beverages, teas, chocolates. The more caffeine you consume, the greater chance of having anxiety flare-ups. End of statement. It's a pretty simple statement right there. Caffeine activates something called the adenosine receptor sites that are involved in mediating the body's fight or flight symptom in the peripheral nervous system, which is the nerves outside your spine and brain, and within the central nervous system, which is your spine and your brain. So adenosine is released, and when it's absorbed, it slows you down. It calms you down. Caffeine blocks up the adenosine receptor sites So you can't absorb adenosine as efficiently, and so you don't calm down. You stay hyped. You stay anxious. And so it's really important to allow that adenosine to kick in so that you can calm down. Caffeine blocks it up. And that's why if you drink 1 cup of coffee and get high from it, you may need 2 the next day, 3 the next day, 5 the next day, because you're blocking up those adenosine receptor sites, and your body is smarter than you. And your body says, hey, wait a minute. I need to relax. I need to calm down. I need to downshift into what's called the parasympathetic mode. And so I'm going to produce more adenosine receptor sites to absorb the adenosine. So you block it, you don't get tired. You make more adenosine receptor sites, you absorb it, you get tired. Body blocks up those sites. Then you have to make more adenosine receptor sites. So, yeah, it can lead to those problems. Excessive intake of caffeine can boost your panic attacks, particularly in people that are suffering from psychiatric conditions, and especially in adolescence. I was not allowed to drink coffee as a child. That was for the adults. And I was Italian, so they drank espresso, which was really the strong stuff. And I never liked it. And finally, I finally worked at a donut shop when I was 14 years old. And I walked to work. I didn't have a car. And I actually eventually made the donuts illegally. I was too young to make it, but I lied. And I told them, I'll tell you I'm 16. They said, okay, fine. And I said, I'm at a coffee shop. Nobody's here. I can have coffee. And I drank it, and I didn't like it. And I never grew a taste for coffee. Didn't like the flavor of it, first of all, but boy, it got me hyper. Now, some people are more sensitive than others, but the thing is you get used to it. You get used to it by blocking up your adenosine receptor sites so you don't get as agitated by it. Research published in Journal of General Health Psychiatry concluded that consuming the amount of caffeine roughly equivalent to about 5 cups of coffee induces panic attacks in large groups of people, large proportions of people. Now, most people aren't drinking 5 cups of coffee a day, but it can kick in. Condition of panic attacks is associated with negative mood effects on school children. A study in the Journal of Psychopharmacology suggests that association between caffeine consumption, anxiety, depression, and stress in school-age children. So don't give your kids caffeine, is what it boils down to. It's the risk factor is far too high. Now, if you just tuned in, I always talk about the 7 deadly sins in nutrition: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. And the group that did a lot of this research, it's actually interesting. One of the ladies' name is Lisa Esposito. So I don't think I'm related to her, but maybe we are. They came up with their own list, and one of the things that was on there that isn't on my list was vegetable smoothies and fruit smoothies. So it piqued my interest, and I said, why would a vegetable smoothie be an issue? Well, what happens is if you have a lot of fruits, especially fruits with a lot of sugar in them, the sugar can spike and then crash, and that could lead to anxieties. And when that happens, that can be an issue. So the way you get around that, really simple, is if you're going to do a fruit smoothie, you add some protein to it. So you can add protein powder. Now, I am not a fan of whey powder, W-H-E-E-Y, not a fan of that at all in any way, shape, or form. If you're going to do a protein powder, and you don't have to, but if you're going to do a protein powder, I recommend a plant-based powder. You can do pea protein. You can do hemp protein, chia seed protein. Just make sure it's not autolyzed protein or hydrolyzed protein. Hydrolyzed just means they break down the protein for you. But when they do that, many times it can release something called glutamic acid. And glutamic acid is the bad part of monosodium glutamate, which is an excitotoxin to the body. It causes the body to fire faster than it's supposed to, and it can be a real serious issue. So an organic protein is going to be fine because it's not going to have that processing in it. And you can add that to a fruit smoothie if you want to, and that'll help slow down that spike. A better choice than fruit smoothies are Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Dr. Joe's Essential Source, and I made this because I had this in mind when I created this. Fruits high in sugar. Now, if you eat the whole fruit, that's okay because it has fiber in it. But if you're going to do a fruit juice, that's not good. So when I created Dr. Joe's Essential Source, what I did is we take fruits and vegetables, we juice it, and then take the water out and take out the sugar. So now what's left is concentrated fruits and vegetables in a powder form. Then we add prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, and a complete multivitamin. So if you take Dr. Joe's Essential Source, it's a gazillion times, there's my word again, a zillion times better than a fruit smoothie because it has the prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, complete multivitamin, and the fruits and vegetables in it, and doesn't have the sugar in it. I take Dr. Joe's Essential Source every day, and I think you should too, by the way. I mix it with Dr. Joe's Super Greens, which is chlorella and spirulina, and the chlorella and spirulina helps detoxify the liver. It has omega-3 fatty acids in it, essential for brain function. It's called an essential fatty acid. It also has iodine in it. I was doing a show the other day, and somebody called in, and they said, Dr. Joe, why don't we test for iodine like we used to many years ago, doctors across the board? Most people, the only source of iodine they get is from salt, iodized salt, not a good source. Iodine is so necessary for the thyroid to function, but there are iodine receptors, which means cells that use iodine all throughout the body, breast tissue, reproductive tissues. Many tissues use iodine. And most of us are not getting a fraction of the iodine that we need. That's why when I take Super Greens and Essential Source, they both have sea vegetables in it, which is the best source of iodine in the world. And so every time I do a lecture, there's another reason why you should take Super Greens and Essential Source. They're two powders. They taste great. They're very inexpensive. They're on the website, drjoe.com. If you're drinking coffee, easily can switch your coffee for Super Greens and Essential Source, save a fortune, and get that natural burst of energy, as opposed to the negative side effects that you're getting from the coffee and the cost. And also, coffee is one of the most highly sprayed foods there are, with pesticides, herbicides, antifungal chemicals. So you're getting so many chemicals every time you drink a cup of coffee. And it took me years to learn this. I don't drink coffee. But wheat is loaded with glyphosate. Glyphosate is a weed killer. We spray it on wheat to make it easy to harvest. It's the only reason they use it. Same thing with oats. They kill the oats before they harvest it because it's easier to harvest. So if you're going to do wheat, I wish you wouldn't, but if you're going to do wheat, I recommend organic only. I recommend sprouted organic if you're going to do wheat at all. And for oats, steel cut organic as well. This way you don't get the pesticides and you're going to get more fiber as well. So Super Greens and Essential Source is your fruit smoothie every day, a fraction of the cost it would cost you to make one, and a lot better for you. So it's just like chiropractic care. Chiropractic care, most effective, least expensive treatment for back pain. Why wouldn't you do that? If you want to do a fruit smoothie, Super Greens and Essential Source, most effective, least expensive source with way more nutrients in it. Why wouldn't you do that? Doesn't make sense to me, folks. I've got the answers for you. You just have to do it. And I know human nature says it's not easy to change our lifestyle. It's not easy to change our habits. I get it. Take a little step. If nothing else, take Super Greens and Essential Source every day. Scoop of each. Cost you a few bucks. Mix up some coconut milk, almond milk, water. Mix it in with plant-based yogurt if you want to. Frozen smoothies or frozen bananas if you want to throw in there. Frozen berries, low in sugar. If you do nothing else, do that. If you have higher normal blood pressure, I recommend nitric oxide, Dr. Joe's nitric oxide support. I love this stuff. It opens up your blood vessels. It increases circulation to the brain, the heart, the sex organs, gives you a rush of energy. I love my nitric oxide. So if you had to start with 3, Super Green Essential Source and nitric oxide, to help the brain function, to get the nutrients into the body, to help reduce the anxiety. Many of our problems that we have in our world, many of the diseases, many of the emotional, psychological issues, are diseases or conditions of deficiencies. You just don't get enough nutrients. Now, how do we get them? We can get them from diseases of excess. So excess can cause deficiencies? Yes. We eat too much of the bad stuff, alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener, and that deprives us from getting the good stuff. So if you're eating a diet of excess bad foods, you're going to have depletion of the good foods. And so it's such a simple, easy fix. It's like chiropractic care. Chiropractic care, the problem I have, I've been in practice almost 40 years now. The problem is that it's almost too damn easy. People come in, they get a few adjustments, they feel better, they say, oh my God, you're a miracle worker. I've been to 20 different doctors. I spent $200,000-$300,000 and you fixed me in 5 visits. I didn't fix you in 5 visits. We started the healing process in 5 visits, or whatever the number is. I made that number up. We now need to make sure you're getting the proper nutrients. Whether you do it or not is up to you. I can't make you. We need to stabilize the joints. If we give you a chiropractic adjustment and put the bone back in place and it feels better, it's going to come back out of place because the ligaments were stretched and torn when it came out of place to begin with. We've got to get it back in place and get the healing process to happen. That's why I tell my patients, give me 60 days to work with you. You don't have to see me every day for 60 days. Certainly not. I'm a fraction of that. But work with me for 60 days. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Spent a couple of bucks, wasted a little time. If I'm right, most cases I am, major majority cases I am, we are, you're thrilled. And we've made some permanent changes in your life. So drjoe.com if you want to make an appointment. Normally the first visit is $940. I've reduced that for my listeners to $299. Exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays on your follow-up visit, and a complete nutrition evaluation. I don't know anybody who's doing that at any price, certainly not $299. So let's take the first step to getting you well. On the second visit, we're going to show you the x-rays, put together a protocol if necessary. Sometimes it's not. And we can decide what to do and what direction to go in. And then we do nutrition consultation. This is what you should eat. This is what you shouldn't eat. What you do with that information is up to you. Any baby step you take is better than what you're doing right now. Many people just jump right in and go, I want to do this, doc. I've suffered for too long. I've spent too much money. Life is too short. Tell me what to do. And those are the people that make great patients. Some people want to try it themselves, do a little bit at a time. It's up to you. But time ain't slowing down. Time waits for no one, my friend. No, not even you. Alan Parsons song. No, Moody Blues song. I'm sorry. That's Moody Blues. So time waits for no one. So why are you suffering? Why are you dealing with your pain, your anxiety, your digestive issues? And I'm going to talk about digestion. This is important. Make an appointment to come see us, drjoe.com. Now, your stomach has one major job, and that job is to take proteins. Now, whether that protein comes from a carrot or a steak or a bean, and proteins look like balls of yarn. So your stomach takes the ball of yarn, unravels it, and chops it up into something called amino acids. Now, there's 20 amino acids that we need, that we have in a human diet. There's other ones that aren't good for us, but the 20 that we need in our diet. And some are called essential, some are called non-essential. Essential amino acids you have to get from an outside source. You have to get it from another source. Non-essentials, many times you can make out of other ingredients you have laying around your liver, okay, laying around the house. But the amino acid named tryptophan combines with something called vitamin B6, creates something called 5-HTP, and 5-HTP becomes serotonin. Serotonin is the neurotransmitter that calms us down. When we have anxiety, we want to increase and utilize more efficiently our serotonin. Serotonin becomes melatonin, which helps you sleep. And so many times we have anxiety, we can't sleep because the serotonin isn't there to create the melatonin to help you sleep. And so by fixing your digestive system, we start the process way down the line. We start the body making tryptophan to create the neurotransmitters. What can slow that process down? Age. If you're getting old, you don't have the enzymes to break down the proteins like you used to. You have some, but not like you used to. If you have acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, how many people have that? Raise your hands. A lot of you do. I know you do. I see you in practice every day. And we may have to adjust the stomach. The stomach may be pushed up into your diaphragm, and we can adjust or pull it down away from the diaphragm, and that's an amazing adjustment. Because once the stomach gets to its normal position, it starts to do its job more efficiently. And I have seen countless patients with anxiety, depression, ADD, ADHD, and we fix their stomach. We get them on things like Super Greens and Essential Source to get the nutrients in the body to build the neurotransmitters. And many have cried. And they cry with tears of happiness. They tell me, for the first time, Doc, I'm able to sleep. For the first time, I'm able to go out in public. For the first time, I'm able to date. For the first time, you fill in the blank. The body is able to function because we've reduced the anxiety, because we allowed the body to produce neurotransmitters. And a lot of health issues that I see in my practice are physical, not chemical. We have medical doctors that can give you anxiety medication, but that doesn't fix anything. Now, sometimes it's necessary. Absolutely. I'm not saying drugs are wrong. I'm saying take the drugs until we can fix the problem. And if we can get the problem fixed, hopefully you don't need the drugs. And we've had countless patients throw away their medications over the years because we get to the cause. It's a big difference when it comes to healthcare. So if you want to make an appointment, go to my website, drjoe.com. Neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, acid reflux, heartburn, digestive issues, neurological issues, nutrition concerns. Pretty much that's everybody. I don't know anybody who doesn't have one of those things. And let's put together a protocol to get to the cause of your health issues. Because the biggest complaint I get is, why didn't I do this sooner? Why did I wait so long? And it's the most effective, cost-effective, most effective, least expensive treatment for things like back pain as well. It's an absolute no-brainer to me. I cannot, for the life of me, figure out why everyone doesn't start in clinics. There's not a lot of clinics like ours, by the way. In fact, I don't know of any. Start with a clinic like ours, and then if we need to expand or accelerate or do something, refer you out, we're happy to do that. So drjoe.com, make your appointment, stop suffering needlessly. We accept most insurances. It depends if your insurance accepts us. If they accept us, we accept them. We fight to get in networks. We take Medicare, car accident, the VA. We're on the VA list. If the VA refers you, they pay for your treatment. So there's nothing stopping you from becoming a patient. We even have payment plans available if you have no insurance or crazy, stupid deductibles. I don't know what else to tell you. Just come see us. So if you're just tuning in, I am Dr. Joe Esposito. We're talking today about the anxiety diet and things that make anxiety worse. Fried foods are high in omega-6 fatty acids. Omega-6 fatty acids, linoleic acid converts into arachidonic acid. Arachidonic acid causes inflammation in the body, including the brain. So where do we get these omega-6s from? The seed oils. Corn, cottonseed, soybean, canola. Stay away from the vegetable oils. They're terrible. The only oil I want in your lifestyle, in your life, is going to be extra virgin organic olive oil, extra virgin organic coconut oil, and if you want to get really crazy, almond oil or avocado oil. That's it. The other seed oils are toxic. Now, fast food, processed foods, loaded with this arachidonic acid, linoleic becomes arachidonic, just inflaming the heck out of your liver, your spleen, your heart, your brain, your kidneys, your joints, your back, your knees. And so many people come to me for pain management, and I look at their diet, and I said, listen, this is going to be an easy one. Stop causing the inflammation. How do I do that? If you go to my website, drjoe.com, you can type in the search bar, so what can I eat, or just what can I eat? And if you do that, you're going to find me talking for about 45 minutes about breakfast, lunches, dinners, snacks, fast food. This is not hard, folks. It's easier than anything you're doing right now. It's cheaper than anything you're doing right now. The only downside to what I'm teaching you is the bad food tastes good. And that's just how it is. So, somebody asked earlier, what can I eat to help anxiety? Go to my website, drjoe.com, and just type in, so what can I eat? And that pretty much lays it out. But you can also add to that fermented foods like kombucha. Again, that has an alcohol in it. Miso, tempeh, pickled vegetables. The probiotics in the fermented foods can help the colon heal. Now, I'm very sensitive to fermented foods. It can give me a headache. And again, I had to think about that. Why am I getting this headache? Oh, I wrote down what I ate. I said, oh, how about that? I had a pickle, I got a headache. I can't do fermented foods. And so I take Dr. Joe's probiotics. They're on the website as well, drjoe.com in the store. So Super Greens Essential Source and nitric oxide if you have normal or high blood pressure. Don't take it if you have low blood pressure. Amazing. I don't know why the whole world doesn't do this. I think we'd solve a lot of the world's problems if we just took those 3 supplements. Vitamin D, if you're not out in the sun 20 minutes 3 or 4 times a day, I'm going to recommend vitamin D. I take it every day. If you take vitamin D without K2, vitamin D does a lot of things. One of the things it does is helps absorb calcium. Vitamin K2 takes the calcium and drives it into the bones. And so you need vitamin D3 with K2. If you're taking D3 without K2, either stop taking it, which I don't think you should do, or add the K2 to it. Or go to my website, drjoe.com. We have it all in one bottle. It's a dropper bottle. I take 5 drops a day. About a dropper full is what I take. You don't have to measure exactly. So more fruits and vegetables. So what can I eat? Start using spices like turmeric. There's a turmeric supplement on my website. I take that every day too. It's an anti-inflammatory. And then if you're going to drink teas, drink an herbal tea. I drink slippery elm when I do lectures because slippery elm helps my voice. But there's peppermint tea, there's almond teas, there's peach teas. Teas are just amazing. They're so much better for you than coffees. And if you want to sweeten it up, add a little touch of stevia to it, problem solved. You want to make sure you're getting the nutrients in your body to help with anxiety, because that's what we're talking about today is the anxiety diet. Magnesium, potassium, selenium. Having adequate levels of B vitamin, vitamin D are so important to help with anxiety. So Super Greens, an essential source, absolutely. That's a whole multivitamin right there. I take a B complex, Dr. Joe's B complex. Vitamin D, so important for the brain and anxiety, and so many other things. It's not just for this. And then I take other supplements as well. I take adrenal support, because at my age, my adrenal glands aren't working like they used to. I take men's hormone support. At my age, I keep my hormones up. I take estrogen regulator because at my age, my testosterone is converting into estrogen very quickly. I want to stop that conversion, and I take estrogen regulator, which is diindole methane, which prevents testosterone from converting into estrogen. And I take other supplements too. I take omega-3 fatty acids every day because I want my brain working. I want to keep my brain young, and omega-3 fatty acids are key to that. So if you go to my website, drjoe.com, you'll see all our supplements listed in the store section. If you have questions, send me questions. I'm happy to answer your questions for you. If you're a podcast junkie, go to your podcast service, type in Dr. Joe for the health of it. I'll answer your question. I'll answer a lot of questions through the podcast, but you can always send them to me through the website. We post at least 2 podcasts a week, sometimes more. And again, it's free. If you don't like it, don't listen. Follow me on social media, at Dr. Joe Esposito. We post every single day at Dr. Joe Esposito. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Every single day you're going to get health tips from me absolutely free. 1 minute. They're all 1 minute. That's it. So if you have a minute of your time, just follow me on social media and you'll get some really great health tips there as well. So there's no reason not to do this. And again, go to my website, drjoe.com, and type in, so what can I eat? And we'll break down what you can eat very clearly for that. So to recap, we're almost out of time. When it comes to anxiety, many times it's self-induced. It's from a bad diet. It's from stress. It's from poor digestion. It's from pain. You have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain. That can cause anxiety. It can become from depleting your brain from nutrients like artificial sweetener can deplete your brain of serotonin and dopamine. And that gives you pleasure and calms you down. It could be an adrenal issue. The adrenal glands produce anti-inflammatories called prostaglandins. You're eating too much omega-6 fatty acids, fried foods, vegetable oils. That increases the inflammation, including the brain, which can lead to anxiety. So some things we don't have control over. I can't control the traffic. I can't control the weather. I can't control what other people do. I can't control the fact that my mom and dad have passed away. But I can control what I put in my body. I can control how I manage my pain through chiropractic and other natural sources. I can control my digestive system to some part to make sure I'm absorbing my nutrients and passing out waste products. And I can control the nutrients that I put in my body. And that's why it's so important. And if you do any of the things we just talked about, any of them, it's a step in the right direction. And as you add one to another, you're exponentially increasing the value. If you just take Super Greens and Essential Source, that's great. Add vitamin D, add B complex. If you have pain, get chiropractic care, but also make sure your digestive system is working so you can absorb nutrients to deal with the healing process. So just make an appointment to come see us. In the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb, or we can do a remote consultation. The website, very simple. Send me questions, listen to the podcast, drjoe.com, or book an appointment, drjoe.com. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. Tell your friends about the show. We'll catch you next time. All right. What do you have?
Is fruit before bed okay?
Yeah, it might make you pee a lot, but it's okay. I prefer not to eat about 3 or 4 hours before I go to bed anyway, so I wouldn't say right before bed, but fruit is probably the best thing you can eat, aside from nothing. So. What else?
Can I cook with olive oil?
Yes, but if you heat it too hot and it starts to smoke, it becomes rancid. So it's called a smoke point. So you want to get it right. If it starts smoking, you heated it too hot. Coconut oil is better to cook with because it has a higher smoke point. But olive oil is okay, but just don't let it get to that point.
This person's wondering if you'd offer an update on your macular degeneration with percentages of improvements over time.
If you go to my website, drjoe.com, and just type in macular degeneration, I have an article that I wrote, in case you don't know my story. I was told, I guess about 8 years ago now, maybe 10, I would be blind by now. There's nothing that can be done about it. You have macular degeneration. You're screwed. See ya. So I hunkered down, did my research, and I, of course, took Super Green, Essential Source, nitric oxide, omega-3 fatty acids. I really upped my game. And every year when I go, my macular degeneration gets better and better and better. So I don't have a percentage, but the last time I went to my doctor, he says we're looking about a 40 to 60% improvement. Now, first of all, that's amazing. Second of all, macular degeneration never gets better. They would be thrilled if it just didn't get worse. And I've been to 3 different eye doctors now because they keep selling the practice on me. And all three of them are like, this is incredible. I've never seen anyone ever heal macular degeneration. Now, it's still there, but it's about 40 to 60% less than it was. So it's pretty cool.
I'll add to that about 3 years ago, he had some gray hairs.
That's true. I did have some gray hairs, and those are all gone too, because I did a hair analysis. And we do them in our office. We can send you a kit if you want to, and we send it off to the lab. And it turns out I had a selenium deficiency. Now, I don't know if you have a selenium deficiency, but once I realized that, like Garrett said, I was starting to go gray, I took a little bit of selenium. Don't take too much. It can be toxic. Don't do this on your own. You don't want to play this game with selenium. And my gray hairs went away. It's pretty cool.
That was like 1 3-month cycle, and it was completely gone.
Gone. And Garrett can tell you. It's objective findings there. I didn't ask him to say that, but yeah. Well, in about 3 months, they were all gone, and they're still gone. So it does work, folks. Most people think I'm about 15 years younger than I am, so I'm okay with that. What else?
That's all for today.
All right, great, guys. I do appreciate you. Please follow us on all platforms at Dr. Joe Esposito. Send me your questions, drjoe.com. Tell your friends about the shows. We'll see you next time.